Good morning, everybody. This is where we slept last night. We slept outside in Ojai, underneath this balcony of roses, maybe jasmine, something like that. And we thought we'd do our first little video this morning. The importance of doing nothing together. We love just hanging out and cuddling and really entangling and entwining our limbs and knees and elbows and breasts and bellies and other bits and pieces around each other. And I often remember I was sat with a teacher, John de Ruyter, and he said, true love is when you can sleep together like field mice. And that gave me such a beautiful imagery. And we kind of think things like that are really important. When all the talking stops and the bodies start communicating silently, wordlessly. And all those lovely little caresses and judders and shakes as the body drops, the breathing slows. You just enter this great, great peace together. There's nothing more than just curling up with Pete.
Yeah, and sometimes the deepening journey is about waking up with a face like a well-slapped arse and celebrating the isness of the moment. You know, a lot of spiritual talk, a lot of things to do. We're trying to deepen into something or expand into something else, and getting the words right and making gestures correct. You know, kind of, it's easy to get into a place of self-policing or suppression from another kind of angle, watching very much what we're doing and saying. But it's really, really important to have moments of dropping all that and just dropping back, lying back into the arms of the moment and each other. You know, having bad hair days and enjoying that as perfection itself, rather than trying to recreate ourselves in some idea of perfection.
And the importance of being natural. Like sometimes might be a bit cold outside of the bed and we'll jump in with a few layers on, and I often protest heavily and say, no, this is a naked place, take those clothes off immediately, because there really is such a change in quality, especially with the bellies and the chest. You know, if you're wearing a t-shirt, that's one thing. If you're both naked, oh my God, that is a totally different thing. Very important. And we have found that there's actual, you know, positions that sort of open spaces up for even more of that deeper peace. And so we wriggle around until we find that absolutely perfect position. And sometimes, you know, my leg is over the top of Pete and he's holding my foot like a stirrup. Is it really? I know it sounds strange, but the bodies love it.
I think for the guys too, especially, or the masculine present in the feminine, that it really has to be a genderless. You know, it's easy for us guys to get into our sexual head and want to orchestrate the situation so that it ends up as being lovemaking. But that agenda definitely alters the dynamic, of course. And to just stay with whatever's happened is an incredible closeness, without turning that into and part of a direction which ends up as penetration, and we know how the story goes from there. Beautiful as that is, and nothing wrong with that. But it actually has, oddly, there's a higher quality often of lovemaking when lovemaking isn't there, as in this connection, this closeness that a couple can get wrapped around each other, staying in that, feeling each other's hearts through the chest and stuff like that, is actually more deeply sensual and has elements of sexuality about it, but it's actually the most beautiful lovemaking. Lovemaking is not just penetration.
Sometimes when we're like this, literally out of nowhere comes this wild wave of undulation and rippling and quivering and you know, a full sexual force literally just passes through the body. It'll start at the root and build up into the heart and up into the head, and then gone. Yeah, so if you're not in your mind, you can just allow those things to happen. A burst of raw sensuality, and then you almost just like drop back into sleep. So no penetration, not even touching genitals even, just like a wave of life force, and then deeper, wave of life force, and then deeper.
You know, and I know many of us lead extremely busy lives and don't have much time together. But it's actually, you know, it's actually worth getting the diaries out if you have to go that far, and agreeing on a day where you're going to stay in bed for the morning kind of thing. If you've got kids, you know, make sure they're away at friends or something like that, and just consciously creating time just to be together without an agenda of lovemaking. And oddly, if there's not an agenda there, it can easily take place, but that's not the focus, it's not the aim. The aim is just beautiful togetherness. That's where so much more, and it's sort of foundational as well, so much more can be built on this feeling of togetherness, the solidity. And yeah, anyway.
And maybe have an adventure like us. Sleep outside.
Yeah.
Put the tent up in the garden.
Yeah.
Go to a cave. Sleep in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Sometimes as adults we forget that adventure is just around the corner. I'm talking of adventure. Come here.